I mean, I love Dame. I love Scoot.
Right.
I love both those guys. Together, it doesn't lead to like winning basketball at the highest of levels. It just doesn't.
Do you think they can build a winner around Damian Lillard, given their current state? How far are they away? Are they a player away? Are they 2 players away? Are they, those timelines don't match up. And would they have to use those use those young players in order to build out around? We say 2 timelines, and I'm not saying that either of these 2 guys are going to be like Wiseman, but the return on Wiseman would have been a lot better than it was after they played him. I think we'd agree on that. The return just was no good, considering. And so, would you use those young players to build a win now? Damian Lillard is ready to win right now. Those players, even if they're spectacular early in their careers, are still a couple years away. So it's not those guys that are going to be the ones that deliver them to be a big winner soon. It's going to be whoever they bring in or add. Do you re-sign Jeremy Grant? Do you go and try to use assets to try to get you a big? But then you've still got rookies and second-year players surrounding him. What's the path to building a winner in Portland quickly?
Well,
he's 33.
Sam Amick in his article today on The Athletic, Chris, he said, here's one solution that is known to be a dream scenario from Lillard's vantage point. Re-sign forward Jeremy Grant and add 4-time All-Star / 4-time champion Draymond Green in free agency. I mean, does that make you a championship contender? No. You still need other moves. Is that a start? Sure, it's a start.
You're a playoff team for sure.
Yeah,
and then you're in the mix.
The issue is, the salary cap is $136 million. After you sign Jeremy Grant to say $20, $25 million annually, whatever it is, you're really pushing against the amount of space you'd have left for Draymond Green, unless you move Yusuf Nurkic. Maybe you make it a sign and trade with Golden State. Maybe you dump Anthony Simons into space elsewhere and get other assets back to create a bit more space to make a super competitive offer for Draymond Green. I think that's the path. I really do. I think Sam nailed it in his article there. We've known for years Portland has always kind of been a flirtatious destination for Draymond Green. So I think, considering the fact they could create some amount of cap space, and then it's just about creating some more after that with a couple of other moves, to me, that feels like the start of what Portland would go for. If Draymond wants to go there, that remains to be seen. If Jeremy Grant wants to re-sign there, that remains to be seen. If they can find a new home for Anthony Simons, that's a big question as well. But I think that's the type of formula that Damian Lillard would have interest in, even if it means, sharing the floor with a rookie, a 19-year-old guy in Scoot Henderson and the other guys they drafted. Maybe for Portland, that's enough. Maybe for Dame, that's enough to go with the 2 timelines approach. I don't think it leads to a championship, but it can at least maybe keep you in it and be part of the conversation. Whereas for him, from Dame's perspective, look, I know the Heat, went to 2 finals in recent years. I know they were just there, this month. A couple weeks ago, they were playing in the NBA Finals. But them getting Damian Lillard does not make them absolute favorites in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't with the way Boston improved with Kristaps Porzingis, Marcus Smart trade. It doesn't with, Giannis and Chris Middleton. If the Bucks are able to bring their guys back and get healthy, it doesn't make them favorites necessarily if the Sixers make improvements too. They'll be in it if they get Damian Lillard, and they'll be even more competitive with Dame, but they're not favorites. And that's something, I put in my article today that Dame said himself. He said, okay, so I get traded to a team that everybody says is a contender, but what did they have to give up to get me? If the Heat trade for Damian Lillard, that's their final move. They don't have any assets left. They're done. Dame is the final move. That's it. So I think for him, maybe
but then
Miami
you got 3 awesome players.
Appeal.
But then you
I
got
know,
three
I know,
awesome
but
players.
yes,
And if there's anybody that can fill in the blanks, it's Miami.
but that's it. But that's their final move. So I'm just saying, from Dame's perspective, I can see the hesitations with Miami and I can see the hesitations with Brooklyn. Whereas with Portland, maybe he feels like, you know what, if we can sign Draymond, if we can bring back Jeremy Grant, at least we can be super competitive, be in the playoffs, and then we'll be in a position where, hey, if we are actually in championship contention, maybe that's when the Blazers front office makes an aggressive move and trades a Shaedon Sharpe deadline time or next summer rather than right now. Maybe right now it's about the two timelines, but then come deadline time. And maybe he's just being sold this and he ends up being the guy who gets dealt come deadline time. But I could see it from his perspective why he would wait as long as they make additions. If they don't make any big additions, then I don't know what the point is in waiting. But we'll see what they do.
Well, yeah, we'll see what they do in free agency and possibly the trade market and what their roster looks like going into the season. You know, you bring up a reasonable point. Are they just selling this? Life is leverage. To me, this is a team that's going into their next phase. Like,
yeah,
you're building out around Scoot and Sharp and what you got going forward. And I don't think that they are a great pairing together at all. No. I don't think you're ever going to get the most out of either of them in tandem. It's all fun to think about. Yeah, it's cool for 2K.
I mean, it's 2 6'2" guards. I mean, I love Dame, I love Scoot. Right. I love both those guys. Together, it doesn't lead to like winning basketball at the highest of levels. It just doesn't.
Well, and Scoot's not a stretch the floor guy like McCollum was. We already saw this. You know what I mean? With the two smaller guard backcourt for so long. And so, you know, I think you probably have him mentor Scoot. Scoot tries to soak up as much as he can from him. And I think you're probably right. I think maybe now they create the leverage so you're not like desperate where you say, hey, we're keeping him, right? Maybe offers keep getting better. And then maybe his opinion changes as time goes on. And maybe you just play it out for a couple of months once the season starts. They realize, okay, like unless they make some kind of big move that has made them a winner, like they have to be like a real winner immediately next year. Or else this all starts all back over again. And it's like, what are we even doing here? Right? And so they're either going to make a big splash this offseason or we're just going to be hurtling towards that again. Which is
along those lines, Chris, you know, with what you just said about, you know, kind of waiting a little bit here for Dame and seeing if his opinion changes. I think for Portland right now, with the amount of years that he has left on his contract, this coming season, $46 million, and then $49 million, and then $59 million, and then $63 million.
No, I know.
I mean, it's a lot of money. So I think that the length of the contract, you could say on one hand, gives a team confidence to trade for him if they are a team that isn't on his list. On the other hand, the length of that contract with a new CBA and all the challenges to come for a guy who's going to be 33 next season, that's very scary. So I think for Portland, if Portland waits, let's say come January or February, they're a middling 500 team. It's very clear that the best situation for that franchise is to trade Dame. The best thing for Dame is to be traded. Dame is going to have his preferred destinations at that point. However, the factor I wonder about from the Blazers' perspective is how much do they actually care about that list? Come January, come February, right. If Oklahoma City is, you know, the 4 seed, or New Orleans is the 3 seed, or Utah is the 2 seed, these teams with a bunch of assets, if they say, let's go get Dame and make a run at the title, and they dump a bunch of those picks in a trade offer for Damian Lillard, I'm not sure Portland at that point is going to say, you know what, Dame, we understand you want to go to Miami for 2 first-round draft picks and Jaime Jaquez, but we're going to take the 6 first-round draft picks and send you there. And maybe at that point, Dame is willing to accept the opportunity to compete for a championship with that new franchise. Whereas right now, I think it would look ugly for Portland. Those offers aren't even there at this point. I just think by waiting from the Blazers' perspective, they could end up getting more for Dame while also buying themselves time to say, you know what, maybe we can add some winning players and do both. So I think I like, you kind of talk yourself into it where it makes sense from Portland's perspective. I always look at things through the front office lens more than anything else. I think for Dame, he should probably push now, personally. But for Portland, I think I'd want to wait at this point.
Well, and it's also good. It's also honestly like good timing fan base wise because it's on a much smaller level. But as much as everyone where I am lived and died with Mike Conley, you knew that as soon as they got the number 2 draft pick, that was gonna. You had the new guy. You had the new guy, and the new guy is you get to walk right into it. It's like, it's like when Peyton Manning walked away and they get to root for Andrew Luck immediately when Mike Conley's time is coming to an end, and now it's John Morant, and they have that natural like, okay, this guy is going to take my love, attention, and adoration now, and something to get excited about that I haven't gotten excited. I mean, it's very similar in that way, where you get that super high draft pick that now there's nothing more fun than rooting for an awesome rookie. Nothing. You get to do it one time, and it's all new one time, and you're excited about literally everything that they do. And then it becomes old hat. Before too long. But they've kind of got that right now, right? They're going to have that massive honeymoon. And to your point about the whole, maybe they could wait, there's always that fine line of, did you wait too long? If they're not that good and he's got a level of discontent about it, and he's looking down at the clock and he's going, hey man, now, is it possible your offers are better now than they will become? It's a fine line.